Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into a story that's part ancient mystery, part modern-day conflict, and part grueling adventure.
Deep in the Colombian jungle, there's a city carved into the mountains that makes Machu Picchu look, well, new. Seriously, this place is about 650 years older. It's a relic of a civilization that literally vanished into the forest.
Now, getting there is not your typical vacation. It's a full-on, multi-day pilgrimage that will test your body and your mind against brutal heat, insane climbs, and a history that is both ancient and, surprisingly recent. Okay, let's get into it.
So to really get a handle on this journey, we first have to ask, how does a whole city just get lost? To figure that out, we need to rewind the clock.
So check this out. Back in the 16th century, when the Spanish arrived, the Tairona people didn't stay and fight. They made a strategic call. They just left. They abandoned their capital, let the jungle take it back, choosing to disappear rather than be conquered.
And that's a really important point. The outside world calls it the Lost City, or Ciudad Perdida, but its real name, Teyuna, was never forgotten by the people who guarded it. And that name has a deep spiritual meaning, a whole world away from the whole lost ruin thing.
I mean, think about that. It was this incredible act of preserving their culture. By melting into one of the toughest landscapes on Earth, they kept their traditions alive, hidden away from a colonial world that was trying to erase them. The jungle literally became their shield.
But, okay, even after treasure hunters stumbled on it in the 1970s, Teyuna was still basically off-limits. And this time, it wasn't the jungle keeping people out, it was the brutal reality of Colombia's more recent conflicts.
Yeah, to understand why this place stayed hidden for so long, you have to get its modern history. For decades, these mountains weren't a hiking destination. They were a battleground for rebels and paramilitaries. Just going there was a life-threatening risk.
And all that fighting was fueled by a totally different kind of gold rush. In the 70s, this region became the heart of Colombia's marijuana boom. Get this, it was supplying up to 70% of all the weed in the US. That's a ton of money, which brought a ton of violence with it.
Then, just as fast as that started, it was replaced by something even more dangerous. By the 80s, coca farming for cocaine took over. The violence just exploded, and the entire region was basically sealed off from the rest of the world. The path to Teyuna was now closed by force.
So here's the twist. Today, when you hike the trail, you'll see soldiers from the Colombian army. And at first glance, that looks pretty intimidating, right? But it actually means the complete opposite of what it used to. Their presence is the signal that the area is under control and safe. It's a symbol of a very hard-won, and maybe still fragile, peace.
So, with the region finally safe, the only thing left standing between you and the city is the trek itself. And let me tell you, this thing is a monster of endurance, sweat, and pure grit.
65 kilometers. That's the round-trip distance, roughly. But don't let that number fool you, because this is not a walk in the park. It is a constant grind of super steep climbs and just as punishing descents, over and over and over.
But honestly, the distance isn't even the worst part. The real enemy is the heat. It is suffocating, and the humidity is so thick you can practically drink it. You will sweat more than you thought possible, and your clothes will never ever feel dry. That's the part that really tests you.
So a typical day is this insane cycle. You wake up in the dark at 5 a.m. to beat the heat. You hike for hours through mud. You get a glorious but brief cool down crossing a river. You finally get to a super basic camp, take a freezing shower, and then you get up and do it all over again. It is a grind.
And this pretty much sums up the whole experience. It's a constant trade-off. For every amazing moment, like swimming in a waterfall, there's a miserable one, like trudging through knee-deep mud. For every bit of incredible jungle you see, there's a million mosquitoes who see you. It is a journey of extreme highs and lows.
But for the people who push through all that mud and all those mosquito bites and all the aching muscles, the reward is an arrival scene that is unlike anything else in the world.
So after days of hiking, just when you think you're there, the city gives you one last test, a final boss level, 1,200 stone steps, straight up. And these aren't just any stairs. They are the original mossy stones laid by the Tairona people more than 1,000 years ago. And when you finally get to the top, catching your breath, you are hit with the single most important fact of this whole trip. Teyuna was never actually lost.
Because its real guardians, the descendants of the Tairona, the Kogi, the Wiwa, the Arhuaco, and the Canquamo peoples, they never lost it. Their shamans kept visiting, kept holding ceremonies here, and have always treated it as a sacred place. We aren't explorers discovering it. We are just visitors in their home.
So, all of this brings us to the big question, the one every trekker, covered head to toe in mud and sweat, has to ask themselves. I mean, when you add up the physical pain, the pretty high cost of the trip, and just a pure discomfort of it all, is what you find at the end really worth the price of admission?
Well, the answer isn't a simple yes or no, right? The reward is this incredible, rare connection to an ancient world. But that reward comes with a harsh physical reality and the very real question of the impact tourism has on such a sacred place.
And maybe that's the ultimate point of the journey. It forces you to rethink what discovery even means. You're not there to find a lost city. You're there to earn the privilege of visiting a sacred one. And maybe it's about learning what it means to be a guest in a land that has never, ever forgotten its past.